Welcome to today's video. Today is day 6 of the 7 days of spring. This is page 6 of Julie's page, or Julie's kit, I should say. She has this big page and then the two little calling cards, I guess you would call them. And then this is page 6 of Kara's digitals. So you have 3 journaling cards. And then you have a bunch of little tickets and ephemera pieces. So I really was not too sure what I was going to do at first, but I started gathering ideas and just really thinking about some projects that I had been wanting to make, and we are going to make a very simple, what I think is simple, snippet roll. So I have a strip of fabric, I have lots of scraps, and then I have this little goodie bag that I actually got in some Happy Mail from one of my patrons. Thank you so much. And it has lace and some little fabric butterflies. And we're going to get started. So this was only about 18 inches long. I've made another video doing a snippet roll, and I think I did it a lot longer and more involved, but I wanted to do something really easy because I know a lot of people are intimidated to make these. This was a random idea, but I had this floral stamp next to me, and I thought, why don't I go ahead and just lightly stamp some flowers just across the strip. And I knew I was going to be covering up most of this, but I thought if some of that peeked out, it might be kind of fun. Almost like mixed media, where you just really build upon layers and some things might get covered up, but it's just all part of the process, and little bits that peek out really can make a difference. So I'm going to start working with my scraps, and I'm going to break these apart. The way I envisioned this was to use the digital kit last, and you'll see how I'm going to break that apart and incorporate it later, but I wanted that to kind of be the main vision on this snippet roll. So in this scrap bag, I have little bits of scrapbooking paper. This is wallpaper I'm using right now, coffee dyed paper, pretty basic papers. So, I guess I did forget that I went ahead and also tore up this main page. That was a little hard to tear because it's such a pretty page, and I was thinking, oh, I could have used this for like something way different in my journal. But I can always print that out again, and it looks really pretty with the colors. To add some color to the snippet roll. I am trying to remember to ink up the edges of most of the pages I'm putting on here, or pieces I should say. At least this digital, just because the edges are really super white since it's just on some printer paper. So if you can see, I'm almost making little clusters along the entire snippet roll. I'll kind of gather some papers together in a little clump, and I'm just laying these down for now, and then I'm going to go ahead and lightly glue down the papers. I knew I was going to go ahead and sew across the snippet roll when I was done, but I didn't want anything to fall, so I just went ahead and glued everything down that I had just placed. We can go ahead and just speed that up. By the way, I'm using a new microphone for my voiceover on this video. I don't know if it's going to sound good or not, but definitely let me know below, because in the past my voiceovers are always just a bit too quiet and muffled up. Okay, so I'm moving on to using the digitals now that I have, and I'm going to go ahead and just tear these just to kind of follow that same pattern that I've been following with using the scraps. And I'll just kind of choose which parts of the journaling cards that I want. You can see, since the journaling cards have some florals and butterflies, I'll actually just rip whatever part I want and just kind of laying those on top of the little clusters that I have already kind of placed on the snippet roll. And then again, I'll just use a little dab of glue to hold those in place. I really didn't overthink this. I just tried to kind of place things down grouped together and leave it at that. I wasn't trying to make sure anything matched or anything like that. So now I am going to take some little pieces of lace. I did want to add just a little bit of texture other than paper. You don't have to use lace. You could use other pieces of fabric. You could use thread or twine, or you can really just use all paper. It's totally up to you for making your snippet roll. And I know that I'm probably going to get a lot of questions for how will I use this. And at the end of this collab, I will be doing a video using all the things that I made in the collab, and I'll be placing them into my personal journal. So stick around for that. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out, because I will be using some of this snippet roll in my personal journal. Now I'm going to take all of these little ephemera pieces and add these to the tops of the little clusters that I made. These were just what I wanted to be kind of at the top of the little clusters. The little clusters, I keep saying that over and over, I feel like. But just to give you kind of a brief idea, in case you want to know now, how I use this snippet roll is I really just cut it up into smaller pieces. I might use it for a pocket in my journal. I might use it for a belly band. I might cut off a small piece and just use it to decorate like a bag or an envelope in my journal. I just really use it the same exact way that I would use layered embellishments or snippet pieces. And I don't cut these up until I'm going to use it. So I wanted to add a little bit more of this peachy color. So I have this lace here that I'm cutting up into little pieces, and I'm just going to layer this right on top too. There's definitely a lot of layers here, and to be honest, I don't usually do this many layers on like my layered embellishments, but I actually really like how it looked, and I think it will make for some really quick and easy decorations in my journal when I want something like this. I'm also really thinking that this might be a part of my very next Patreon mail, and I do monthly mail I send out to my patrons, and it's always handmade items. And so I don't know for sure, but I think I might end up doing a little, what I would do is make a huge snippet roll, and then I would cut it up and send like the little pieces to my patrons. To finish it off, I'm using these little butterflies. I actually have one more thing that I'll add, but these butterflies are perfect, and if you can find any kind of little like word fabric labels or anything like that, that would be great. So I didn't film this part, but I did sew across just 2 lines. You can see I even crossed those in the middle. I wasn't perfect about it. I used a dark blue color. Of course, if you did not want sewing to show through on yours, you don't have to sew. I would just make sure to use, a stronger glue, or you can use a lighter thread, but I always like how the thread shows through. So I decided to go ahead and give these rub-ons a try. I was trying to find one that had like words on it because I thought it might look really good on these blank labels that are also on the snippet roll, but I couldn't find anything I liked. So I'm using this little unicorn and just going ahead and rubbing it onto this little label just to really to experiment and see if I liked it. I liked it, but I didn't feel like it added like too much. Now I'm going to actually finish this off by adding just a few metal embellishments. This was a kind of a last minute decision. At first I was just going to keep it blank like how it is now, and I think it's perfect and fine, and then you also have room to add anything that you want for a specific project. But I wanted to finish this one off, and so I am adding little bulb pins that have bells and little clips that I had just kind of in my stash. There's this really pretty embellished key. And I also think that it looks really pretty to just use like a plain safety pin, honestly, just to add some different texture. The metal really looks nice. So there are just so many things and so many ways that you can make snippet rolls Again, I hope that you guys will stick around so you can see how I use this in my personal journal. If you've made a snippet roll before, tell me down below what are some things that you like to include on your snippet rolls. And I thank you guys so much for being a part of my channel. Thank you so much for being so involved in this collab. And you guys have been just so sweet and so nice to me. And there's lots of new subscribers. So thank you and welcome. And I will see you guys in tomorrow, day 7, the last day of this collab. Thanks so much. Bye.